Hare Krishna, welcome everyone.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, we lost Mataji. She's getting connected.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Sorry, something is wrong in my laptop today. Hopefully everything goes smooth. Okay, let us start. Welcome everyone to this morning session of Bhagavad Gita. So let us start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Let me share the screen. Can you all see?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. It's visible. Okay, so welcome everyone once again to this morning Bhagavad Gita session. So we have successfully completed 16 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, and today we will discuss the 17th chapter. So in 16th chapter, Krishna ended the 16th chapter by introducing the scriptures. So I'll just give for the last few verses summary, and then we will jump into the new chapter today. So Krishna said that those who disregard scriptural injunctions and who behave whimsically, such people do not attain any perfection, and they will not get any happiness, not only in this life but also in the next life. But those who follow the scriptures and maneuver their life in accordance with the instructions of the scriptures or shastras, they will understand what is right, what is wrong, what is good and what is bad, what is duty, what is not one's duty, and what will happen to such people. Such people will gradually be elevated to the transcendental platform. So Krishna concluded 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita with these words. Now here in 17th chapter, now Arjuna has some questions. So in the beginning. So, okay, so he says that you told that we should have some faith in scriptures, and having faith in scriptures will make one perfect. But and also you said that people who don't have faith in scriptures, they are demonic. So if you see the 16th chapter, title of the 16th chapter is Divine and Demonic. Means basically those who have faith in the scriptures are divine, and those who don't have faith in the scriptures are demonic. So in simple terms, faithless are demonic and faithful are divine. That is what is being explained over there. So now the Arjuna is asking a question: what if somebody has a faith but not in scriptures? They have faith in something else. So are they demonic or divine? So his question is, the people who have a non-scriptural faith, so under what category they fall in? So now Krishna in this chapter says that people who has non-scriptural faith could be influenced by different modes. They could be influenced by different modes. We know that we have 3 modes of material nature: tamoguna, rajoguna, and sattoguna. So Krishna says that one of these modes will influence them, and that's why they are keeping faith in something which is not based in the scriptures. So we can determine their faith. Krishna explains that we can determine their faith depending on analyzing their activities and how their activities are influenced by different modes. So basically, if you see the title of this chapter, the 17th chapter, it is called Divisions of Faith. So where Krishna says that the modes, the 3 material modes, tamoguna, rajoguna, and sattvaguna, they determine one's faith, and he analyzes the nature of different people who are influenced by different modes and perform their activities in different ways. Like the foods they eat based on the different modes, and the sacrifices they perform, the austerities they perform, the charities that they perform in 3 different modes. They are all being explained in this chapter. And then also, and finally, Krishna concludes the chapter saying that perform all the activities by keeping faith in Krishna alone. By having all activities should be performed by having faith in Krishna. So let us begin the chapter now with the text, with the text 1. Anybody is there who wants to volunteer? Yes, Sindhu Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes.
Text 1. Arjuna Vacha Eshastra Vidim Utsrijya Yajante Shraddhayanvitaha Tesham Nishtatu Ka Krishna Sattvam Aho Rajastamaha. Translation, shall I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. You should read translation and purport also.
Okay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Purport. In the 4th chapter, 39th verse, it is said that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scriptures is called an asura, demon, and one who follows the scriptural injunctions faithfully is called a deva or a demigod. Now, if one with faith follows some rules which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions, what is his position? This doubt of Arjuna's is to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to the highest perfectional stage? To those who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but who have faith in something and worship gods and demigods, and men attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So here, Arjuna asked this question. So this is relatively a simpler question than the technical questions that he had asked in the past. This chapter is also quite simple. Now Arjuna's question is, Ye Shastra Vidyam Utshrijai. So what is he saying? One who gives Shastra Vidhi means, Shastra means scriptures. Vidhi means the principles described in the scriptures. Utshrijya means to give up or not to follow. So those who do not follow the principles of scriptures or the teachings of scriptures and yajante shraddhayan vitaha, but they do yajan. Yajan means to worship. Whom they worship somebody. Okay. Somebody whose worship which is not mentioned in the scriptures. Shraddhayan vitaha means with shraddha, with great faith they perform some worship. See, people may keep great worship and trust in celebrities or politicians or some kind of concocted deity worship. Srila Prabhupada gives this example that they will make a human being as God. They will say, "Oh, you are God," and they start worshipping. But nowhere in the scriptures it is mentioned that he is a God. But these people have a lot of faith in that person. I hope you must be aware of many people who keep faith in so-called concocted man-made gods. So they have some kind of, why do they get attracted to them? Because they have some kind of power or mysticism or something very influential, or they may have some material subtle powers, or they may have ability to influence others, or they have the very eloquent speech that they impress others. So as soon as an ordinary person sees a person having more abilities than him or little extraordinary powers, then they start putting faith in that person. Like there are some yogis, they in Himalayas, that they may have acquired some siddhis like anima, garima, becoming a smaller than the smallest, becoming bigger than the bigger, like that. And then people who see such skills, they get impressed by those siddhis and they start worshipping them as a gods. These generally, if you see, the mystic skills themselves do not give any happiness to the people, right? If I have some mystic skill, if I have an extraordinary ability, like for example, I have an ability to walk on a siddhi. There's one siddhi which is like walking on a water. I have a siddhi to walk on a water. Just by walking on a water in the bank of a river, this side, that side, this side, that side, I don't get any happiness. But the same thing, if there are 100 people around that river, and if I am walking on the water, and if they see me doing that, and they start clapping it, then I'll get some happiness, right? So one gets happiness when there is an adoration and chief following. So these mystic skills are themselves do not give any happiness to the people who is exhibiting also. It is unless being exhibited in front of someone and they get some kind of adoration, praise, and fan following, that will not give any kind of happiness. So Krishna is talking now about the people who does such kind of things, who just want a fan following, who wants just some adoration, some cheap following. So those people, what kind of tesham nishta tuka Krishna means, what kind of faith is that? What kind of faith is that? Sattvam aho rajasthama. Krishna is saying, is it in goodness? Arjuna is asking, is it in goodness or passion or in ignorance? So Arjuna is asking a very specific question. So there are people who do not follow the scriptures or the teachings of the scriptures, but they do worship someone who are not mentioned.
Is Mataji audible, or am I facing any problem?
We can't hear.
Okay. I think we lost her. She came back.
Hare Krishna, I'm so sorry. There's some
Hare
problem in
Krishna.
that. Yeah. So there are some people who thinks that I was just giving a crude examples, like people wear some shirt and go to the interview, and then they think that whenever they wear that kind of shirt, then they clear the exam, they clear the interview. These are very crude examples. But here Arjuna is mainly inquiring about the unauthorized worship of common people. Okay, so we will go into the next shloka. Now let us see what Krishna answers. So who will read this? Any volunteers? Yes, Padma Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandaprana. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shruno. Sushla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Supreme Personality of God is said, according to modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Hear about this. Perfect. Those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but out of laziness or indolence, give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they acquire a nature which is of specific quality. The association of the living entity with the different modes of nature has been going on perpetually, since the living entity is in contact with the material nature. He acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the material modes. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness, or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that binds faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So here, now Krishna is speaking. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Krishna is speaking. He's responding now. What is he saying? Trividha Bhavati Shraddha. Means Shraddha is of three types. Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja. So he's saying Dehi means one who is in Deha. Means, as you know, it's an embodied soul. So embodied souls can have three kinds of faith. And their faith is acquired by their Swabhava. Swabhava means the nature. This Swabhava, one acquires, the Swabhava a person acquires is based on their association with the matter for a long time. Because of being in this material world for a long time and being in the company of some people for a long time, they acquire certain nature. Like some people may cultivate bad habits because of being in the bad association. And some people may cultivate good habits because of being in good association. And accordingly, they will develop some kind of nature. That's why we see, some natures are very pleasant. Some natures are very irritable and arrogant. And some may be very envious. Some are insecure. Like this, many things like this. So all these different kinds of natures people could have because of combination of the modes, and based on the faith that they are having, based on the shraddha that they have. Somebody, like for example, if somebody is keeping a faith in a man-made god, and if he starts worshipping him, we are not actually saying that we should disrespect the people, but they may be a greater personality. We may also worship a greater personality, but we should also understand who is who. We should not just blindly follow some man-made gods. Like there's a bhajan, there's a Vaishnava bhajan where it says that Sakale Sammana Korite Shakati Deyanata Jata Jata. So in that bhajan, it is said that by worshipping the bona fide Vaishnava Guru, we get blessings. Now, when you worship the bona fide Guru, when you offer obeisances to him, you are actually in the along with the Guru, there will be other Vaishnavas also who accompany with the Guru. So you are actually benefiting more, just not by worshipping the Guru, but you are also, like you are giving an opportunity for others also to worship that personality, and by that you will get, if he is a bona fide Guru, then you are actually giving lot of blessings to come upon other people as well, along with ourselves. So here, like Krishna is saying that, so the embodied souls, they can have 3 kinds of faith, and that faith is acquired by the Swabhava. And then he is saying this faith is in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu. So he's saying, please hear. Now I'm going to share. He has not even shared yet, but he's going to share. Please hear. So you see, like here Prabhupada is very beautifully, he mentions that, one has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of bona fide spiritual master. Then only, one can change. Like a person, if he has acquired different types of mentality according to the association with the material modes, this mentality can be changed. When it can be changed? In the association of good people, in the association of bona fide spiritual master. And if you follow his instructions sincerely, as Prabhupada is mentioning, if you follow the instructions of spiritual master very sincerely, we will transcend. I mean, we will gradually elevate from the mode of ignorance to mode of good, from passion to goodness, from ignorance to goodness. So this is possible, but one has to really start associating. They just should not hear just because, like, I will come and I'll sit, but I will not hear the rules and regulations, whatever. Like, though knowing the rules and regulations of the scriptures is okay, but one must not follow it blindly. One must actually accept a spiritual master who has full knowledge of that subject and understand the scriptures from him. Like, for example, the doctor can cure our disease, but if one does not take the medicines prescribed by him, then it will not be cured, right? So the endeavor must also be from our side. If you simply hear what the spiritual master says and don't put anything in practice, then there will not be any spiritual advancement. Like a man becomes sick and he goes to the doctor for help. Doctor examines him and then he writes out some prescription and some medicine he will write, and then he will ask him to follow those medicines. I mean, have those medicines. So but the man who has got a disease has a lot of faith in this doctor. That's why he had approached the doctor. So he went home. He had taken the prescription from the doctor and he returns home and he reads the prescription regularly without taking any medicines. He'll just very religiously every day he is reading the prescription day in and day out. But will that help? He has a great faith in the doctor and he is reading the prescription every day, but still the prescription does not help him because the medicine has to be taken. Whatever it is written in the prescription, the medicine is being given, that medicine has to be orally taken. Then there will be an impact on the diseased person, right? So similarly, just having faith in the spiritual master and following will not work. We should also follow the instructions with full faith so that we can intensify our devotional service. So this is what Prabhupada is mentioning here. This is a very beautiful sentence which Prabhupada says, one has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. Otherwise, we will just remain here. And we have seen what is what is our position if we just stick to these modes different modes. In the last chapter, we have got a good knowledge about it. Okay, so we'll move on to the next shloka. We will read. Yeah, Krishnamurti Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Shall I read Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purusho yo yacchadraksa eva saha. Translation by A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada ki jai. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence in various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. May I read purport, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. You can read.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everyone has a particular type of faith, regardless of what he is. But his faith is considered good, passionate, or ignorant according to the nature he has acquired. Thus, according to this particular type of faith, one associates with certain persons. Now the real fact is that every living being, as is stated in the 15th chapter, is originally a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one is originally transcendental to all the modes of material nature. But when one forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and comes into the contact with the material nature in conditional life, he generates his own position by association with the different varieties of material nature. The resultant artificial faith and existence are only material. Although one may be conducted by some impression or some conception of life, originally he is nirguna or transcendental. Therefore, one has to become cleansed of the material contamination that he has acquired in order to regain his relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is the only path back without fear, Krishna consciousness. If one is situated in Krishna consciousness, then that path is guaranteed for his elevation to the perfectional stage. If one does not take to his path of self-realization, then he is surely to be conducted by the influence of the modes of nature. Shall I continue, Mataji?
Anybody else can read the rest of the purport?
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Who is that?
The word Shraddha or faith is very significant in this verse. Shraddha or faith originally comes out of mode of goodness. One's faith may be in a demigod or some created god or some mental concoction. One's strong faith is supposed to be productive of works of material goodness. But in material conditioned life, no works are completely purified. They are mixed. They are not in pure goodness. Pure goodness is transcendental. In purified goodness, one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. As long as one's faith is not completely in purified goodness, the faith is subject to contamination by any of the modes of the material nature. The contaminated modes of material nature expand to the heart. Therefore, according to the position of the heart in contact with a particular mode of material nature, one's faith is established. It should be understood that if one's heart is in the mode of goodness, his faith is also in mode of goodness. If his heart is in mode of passion, his faith is also in the mode of passion. And if his heart is in the mode of darkness, illusion, his faith is also in contamination. Thus, we find different types of faith in the world, and there are different types of religions due to different types of the faith. The real principle of religious faith is situated in the mode of the goodness, pure goodness. But because the heart is talented and tainted, and find different type of religious principles, thus, according to different types of faith, there are different types of worship. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So here now Krishna is explaining further that sattva sattvanurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata. He's saying the faith can also be evolved. So how? So Krishna is saying that a particular faith can be evolved. One may have, like, initially one may have a komala faith, means like very tender faith, and then later on when they start following that, when they start following that kind of worship or strengthen their faith, or they have that association, they keep on being in that association, they will develop that faith increases. Later on it increases. Then what happens? Shraddha bhavati bharata shraddha mayoyam purusha. Sorry, shraddha mayoyam purusha yo yash shraddha sa eva saha. So Krishna is saying shraddha mayoyam purusho means for living beings functioning, one should have faith, right? So for all of our, when we have to live in this material world, we should have some kind of faith. Without faith, no one can exist in this material world, right? Like if you go to a coffee shop, when you ask for a coffee, then you know that the waiter will give only coffee to you. He will not add poison and give you, poisoned coffee to you, right? So you have a faith. Like when you enter into a train, you may want to go from one destination to maybe to Kolkata or something like that. So you know that when you board the train, you will only go to Kolkata. You will not end up in Delhi, like that. But you have the faith that this train will take me to a destination wherever I have to get down. So without that kind of faith, it will not work. However, sometimes people may keep faith in something which is very harmful. That is called tamasic faith. And sometimes people may keep faith in something immediate benefit, which gives them very immediate benefit or immediate some outcome they should see. That kind of faith is called rajoguni faith. And some people keep faith in something beneficial for a very long time, but on a material platform. They are expecting something beneficial to come in their life, but which is on a material platform, material plane. So that is called sattva guna. And some people keep faith on a supreme Lord. That is above all these modes. That is called transcendental faith. So all these faiths like tamasic, rajoguna faith and sattvic faith, whatever the people are having, that is all on the material plane only. It's all artificial faith, and it is all there on the material plane only. It is not on because they are expecting something material, some gain out of it. That's why they are hooking to that kind of faith. Like for example, if a person is accepting a man-made God as a God, because he has some siddhi. So what is his expectation? That if I associate with this person, some happiness I will get, or he may do some mantra and whatever problem I have, that will get eradicated. So they have some expectations which is that pain I need not go through in this material world. If somebody is going through some pain, they want to get rid of that pain. So they go to that person and they say that, please give some mantra so that I will get out of this. So it is all in the material faith only. There is nothing material plane only. There's nothing on the transcendental plane. So anything that comes on the transcendental plane, that is only when one is situated in Krishna consciousness. Then Prabhupada says here, if one is situated in Krishna consciousness, then that path is guaranteed for his elevation to the perfectional stage. What is this perfectional stage? Perfectional stage is something which is a path of self-realization, which is beyond the modes of nature, which is not influenced by the modes of nature, and he has a faith that which can make him go out of this material realm. not to rotten in this material world, but he can go out from this material realm itself. So that kind of faith is possible only when one is situated in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada, this I have already mentioned, that different kinds of faiths, and here pure goodness is transcendental. This is Shuddha Sattva. We spoke about faith in the mode of passion, ignorance, and goodness. And this is the pure goodness is beyond the goodness. Okay, so we will move on to the different. So Prabhupada is mentioning, according to the different types of faith one has, there are different kinds of worship. This is what even Krishna is also mentioning. So we'll go to the next verse, fourth verse. Who will read?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yajante satvika devanya anya sharakshanshi rajasaha pretan bhuta ganan shanchye yajante tamasa janaha. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirit. Purport. In this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead describes different kinds of worshippers according to their external activities. According to scriptural injunction, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipable, but those who are not very conversant with or faithful to the scriptural injunction worship different objects according to their specific situation. So in the mode of material nature, those who are situated in goodness generally worship the demigods. The demigods include Brahma, Shiva, and others such as Indra, Chandra, and the sun demigod. There are various demigods. Those in goodness worship a particular demigods for a particular purpose. Similarly, those who are in a mood of passion worship the demons. We recall that during the Second World War, a man in Calcutta worshipped Hitler because thanks to that war, he had amassed a large amount of wealth by dealing in the black market. Similarly, those in mode of passion and ignorance generally select a powerful man to be God. They think that anyone can be worshipped as God, and that the same result will be obtained. Now it is clearly described here that those who are in the mode of passion worship and create such gods, and those who are in the mode of ignorance in darkness who worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship at the tomb of some dead man. Sexual service is also considered to be in the mode of darkness. Similarly, in remote villages in India, there are worshippers of ghosts. We have seen that in India, the lower class people sometimes go to the forest, and if they have knowledge that a ghost live in a tree, they worship that tree and offer sacrifices. So there is different kinds of worship are not actually God worship. God worship is for persons who are transcendentally situated in pure goodness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.3.23, it is said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Sabditam. When a man is situated in a pure goodness, he worships Vasudeva. The purport is that those who are completely purified of material modes of nature and who are transcendentally situated can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mataji, may I finish this paragraph?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. The impersonalists are supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness, and they worship 5 kinds of demigods. They worship the impersonal Vishnu form in the material world, which is known as a philosophized Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the impersonalists, because they do not ultimately believe the Supreme Personality of Godhead, imagine that the Vishnu form is just another aspect of impersonal Brahman. Similarly, they imagine the Lord Brahma is the impersonal form of the material mode of passion. Thus, they sometimes describe 5 kinds of gods that are worshipable, but because they think that actually truth is impersonal Brahman, they dispose of all worshipable objects at the ultimate, and in conclusion, the different qualities of the material modes of nature can be purified through association with the persons who are of transcendental nature. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So you see here, it's It's very simple verse. So here, Yajante Satvika Devan, who worship this is like the people, the men in the mood of goodness worship Devan. Devan is demigods. And those in the mode of Yaksha, Rakshasami, Rajasaha. Those in the mode of passion, they worship the demons. Pretan, Bhutha, Ganamschanye. And Preta, Bhuta, Preta means the spirits, Bhuta means the ghost, and Anye means and others. So all these are being worshipped by whom? Yajante means to worship. Tamasa Janaha. The people who are in the mode of ignorance, they worship the ghosts and spirits. So here Prabhupada is mentioning how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, now here he is describing different kinds of worshippers. In goodness, one worships the demigods for a purpose. And also in passion, one worships demons, and in ignorance, one worships ghosts and spirits. So Prabhupada is giving example. So in scriptures also, like in the mode of passion, like if you see in the mode of passion, in the mode of goodness, we see that people are worshipping the demigods. So who are those demigods? They are only Brahma, Shiva, and we see that people go and do some offer some kind of worship to these Navagrahas, so that they are not influenced by those grahas. They consider them also as a god only, and they just go and they worship. They have so much of faith in Indra, Chandra, and the sun god, and all of these people. So these are all the people who are in the mood of goodness. They worship, but for a particular purpose. That is only a material purpose again. They don't want anything spiritual elevation there. There is nothing that for their own elevation, spiritual elevation is they are doing. No, there's no lack. It's always there's nothing. I mean, it's a lack of spirituality there. Similarly, those who are in the mode of passion, they worship the demons. So, or out of the people who are in the mode of passion, they also worship out of envy. They worship the Lord, demigods, or even Supreme Personality of Godhead also, out of envy, out of ego, out of pride, like that. They do all that. So these people are also considered to be in the mode of ignorance. Mode of passion. And in the mode of ignorance, they go and they worship some of the ghosts and the pretas, the pretatmas, the black magic. People keep doing. If like Prabhupada has mentioned, that if there is in the forest, if they see in a tree, if there is a ghost living in the tree, they'll go and worship the tree, and they'll offer even sacrifices. Like you see, to achieve something material, people go and in front of Kali, Kali, Mother Kali, they will go and they will slaughter, so many goats or so many chickens, and they think that by doing that bloodshed, Mother Kali is so pleased. But actually speaking, Mother Kali never eats flesh. She doesn't drink that blood or flesh. She actually takes the Mahaprasad from Lord Shiva. And what does Lord Shiva eats? Lord Shiva only takes only eats Mahaprasad of Vishnu, of Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't eat anything like that. He has drunk. He drank the poison. But people consider that Shiva means in the name of Shiva they will offer liquor, they'll offer marujana, all those things, and they say these are all the materials which is very pleasing to Lord Shiva. But it is not true. These are all concocted method of worshipping the demigods. This is all in the mode of ignorance. This will not help anyone to become purified and to elevate one from the state of ignorance to mode of passion or to a mode of goodness. This will not help actually. So, Prabhupada here he is also saying that this impersonalist, Prabhupada also talks about the impersonalist. What is that impersonalist? They say that Vishnu is the expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they don't believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They imagine that Vishnu form is another aspect of impersonal Brahman. So even though they are standing in front of the deity, they consider this deity is impersonal. They just imagine like the impersonal form. He does not have form, though he is seen to be having a form, but he is impersonal. That is what these Mayavadis, the impersonalists, they are supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness, but they don't. They still fall down to mode of these modes of passion and ignorance sometimes. Okay, so we'll move on to the next shloka. Yeah, this is 2 shlokas, 17.5.6. Who will read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Sudha Mataji, go ahead.
Ashastra vihitam goram tapyante ye tapojanaah dambhahankara sanyukta kamaraga balanvitaah karshayanta sharirastam bhutagramam machetasah mam chaivantam sharirastam tan vidyasura nishchayan. Translation by Divine Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. Purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. There are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penance which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions. For instance, fasting for some ulterior purpose, such as to promote a purely political end, is not mentioned in the scriptural directions. The scriptures recommended fasting for spiritual advancement, not for some political end or social purpose. Persons who take to such austerities are, according to Bhagavad Gita, certainly demoniac. These acts are against the scriptural injunctions and are not beneficial for the people in general. Actually, they act out of pride, false ego, lust, and attachment for material enjoyment. For such activities, not only is the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed disturbed, but also the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself living within the body. Such unauthorized fasting or austerities for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. They are not mentioned in the Vedic literature. A demoniac person may think that he can force his enemy or other parties to comply with his desire by this method, but sometimes one dies by such fasting. These acts are not approved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he says that those who engage in them are demons. Such demonstrations are insults to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are enacted in disobedience to the Vedic scriptural injunctions. The word achetasaha is insignificant in this connection. Persons of normal mental condition must obey the scriptural injunctions. Those who are not in such a position neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own way of austerities and penances. One should always remember the ultimate end of the demoniac people as described in the previous chapter. The Lord forces them to take birth in the wombs of demoniac persons. Consequently, they will live by demonic principles life after life without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If, however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by a spiritual master who can direct them to the path of Vedic wisdom, they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the supreme goal. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So in these two verses, the 5th and 6th verse, Krishna is speaking about demonic austerity. So those who undergo severe austerities and penances which are not recommended in the scriptures, if they, when they perform out of pride and egoism, which is impelled by lust and attachment, which is also foolish, and they also torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within them, they are considered to be as demons. So Prabhupada very clearly gave in his purport, the meaning of this whole translation. So Prabhupada is mentioning here that there are people who manufacture the modes of austerity and penance also, which are not non-scriptural, Okay, so those things, like for example, fasting, like Bhukh Hartal. You would have heard like many politicians do that sometimes, to achieve some end, they want something, to gain something, they will just go for Bhukh Hartal, and they say that, but actually nothing like Bhukh Hartal is not mentioned in the scripture. That is not a scriptural injection that, you go for a Bhukh Hartal for gaining something, material. But what are they doing? They are giving a lot of trouble to the body, and it is an unauthorized fasting and unauthorized austerity also, because it is never mentioned anywhere. It only disturbs the people, and that is also done out of some gain, it's because out of pride, out of ego, or out of like Prabhupada mentions here, attachment and lust, right? So these are all done only because they want to get something. We see, political leaders, when they go for these kind of things, they just want to threaten the other party to gain something. But actually, this is not as per this Vedic scriptural injunction. So that is never mentioned in the scriptures. So they do that, and by doing that, they are actually giving pain even to the Supreme Personality of Godhead also. It is actually, somewhere Mataji has mentioned that, this is an insult. Such demonstrations are insults to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they are enacted in disobedience to the Vedic scriptural injunctions. So this achetasaha means the people who don't follow, who are not obeying the scriptural injunctions. What do they happen to them? They, like according to the previous chapter, they ultimately end, they become demons. Here also Krishna is repeating the same thing. When they perform the austerities and penances which are not recommended in the scriptures, or if you perform austerity or penance out of pride or ego, or because of lust or attachment, then what will happen? You are considered to be as demon. Can anyone give an example from the scripture where you have seen any of these symptoms, like somebody doing penance or austerity for lust, for attachment, for pride or ego, to show their ego? You have heard many.
Hiranyakashipu.
Yes, Hiranyakashipu. Ravana.
Ravana, yes.
Yeah, Ravana.
Yes. Ravana also. And then any other? Diti. Diti also performed because of attachment to his sons. So she also performed the austerity, which is not, the husband kept saying, no, you don't do it, but then, she wanted. So that is also one of the examples. So these examples, if you see, they are not considered to be a divine people, right? They are considered to be a demons only. So similarly, what will happen to them? They will end up again taking birth in a demonic family in the next life. Prabhupada mentions consequently they will live by demonic principles life after life. Not only that, because of these demonic nature, the swabhava that they develop, and that swabhava, keeps them carrying life after life. Though the same swabhava, same demonic tendencies will carry life after life, and then they will just be forced to take a birth in the wombs of demonic people. But Prabhupada mentions, if those persons, if that demonic person, if they come in contact with a spiritual master, then by the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master, if the spiritual master directs that person into a Vedic wisdom, then they can get out of that entanglement of demonic nature. So that's why like the swabhava can be changed. That's why we see sometimes, we all see like, we may have a lot of propensities, bad propensities. We know ourselves, right? So we may not understand this, but when we come into Krishna consciousness, as we are chanting, we keep thinking, why I am like this? Why this, anger is there? This envy is there in my heart? Why it is not going? We keep thinking about it and we want to get rid of it. But when we keep hearing with faith and we keep following and chanting and reading the scriptures with faith, following the spiritual master's instructions with faith, then one day we will get rid of all that, right? Like we have examples in the Shastras, like Mrigari example is there. He was killing animals, but he became a sadhu at the end of his life. That is possible. Why? Because he has come in contact with a sadhu like Narada Muni, right? So we'll go to the next shloka and we'll end here with this. Who will read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Shri Mataji.
Yeah, Swati Mataji, you can read.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, Kumari Devi Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Till only 6, I think Mataji gave the. Is it okay, Mataji?
Only 6. I think it was. I thought it was 7. 1 minute, Mataji. I'm just.
Mataji, 7:1 to 7:6 only. Check, Mataji.
Okay. It's a little 6. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you,
Sorry,
Mataji.
Mataji. Because I made the number.
No. It is my mistake. So I thought it is still 7. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay. So we have ended our session at the right time. It's been 12:30. Now, anybody has any questions, comments, anything that you would like to share, ask?
Mataji, this word, asechataha, can you explain a little more in detail? A little more, maybe 1 or 2 sentences? Yeah.
Yeah. Achetasaha means actually people who are misled, means they are not following, who don't follow. Why they don't follow? Misled means what? They do the things with the mental concoction. They whimsically act without following the scriptures. They don't obey the scriptural injunctions. So what will happen to those people? Because they neglect the scriptures, they end up in trouble, right? They follow something which their mind says. So when they act like that, like for example, we see very gross example I'm giving what is happening in the today's world. We see there is an incident which has happened, a man killing a lady and also cutting her into pieces. See, we have only heard of people killing, right? Like we have seen people killing each other. Like that is all okay. But when you kill a person, you won't cut that body into pieces. Nowadays, it is the crime, the mentality of a person. He concocted that, let me just cut into pieces and throw them, and so that he can hide the truth. But that is not possible. But by doing such things, what has happened? Which is, first of all, killing itself is wrong. And then on top of it, all these things he has done. So they have to undergo a very, very severe punishment in their life, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, Mataji. Understood. Thank you, Mataji.
Anything else, Mataji? Okay, if nothing else, then we will end the session over here. Thank you so much for all your patient hearing and participation. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo Ananta Koti Vaishnav ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grandhara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, with your permission, I'm just